Hello, everyone. Thank you. So I'll just introduce the work we have been doing in this work stream. Yesterday and day before, in a lot of POCs, we heard about merchant payments being one of the areas which is being considered as a primary area for increasing adoption of Mojolo. Uh, so this work stream, I mean, the work started somewhere around March in PI 21, and since last few months, whatever work we have done, I'll just do a recap of that, and then there's a small demonstration of the work which has been done so far. So the idea is that why we are working on merchant payments. It's an important use case. And one can argue that Mojalo uh, does facilitate transfers, and a merchant payment and a transfer, P2P transfer, is one and the same thing. But in reality, as far as the flow of funds is concerned, yes, it's the same thing. But unlike transfers, when we talk about payments, the universe of payments includes not just the transfer of money, but linked to it a delivery of good or a service, and the implication being that if that service is not delivered, then you have to think about disputes, chargebacks, rules around that, those areas as well. uh, you can carry out merchant payments in different contexts, either online or remote or proximity. And then the word actually merchant is again a misleading word, because the payments could be of different type. You can pay to a government, pay to a business, or do some kind of payments which are uh, not traditional merchants but utility bills. And so each of these areas encompass different requirements. For example, different type of contextual information has to travel. uh, not necessarily the base clearing function of the payment system would change in all aspects, but we have to consider things around all of these use cases. So the goal of this work stream was to identify the market needs. So if we are talking that when we say that we support merchant payments, what exactly is the market requirement to support that? And then create the necessary tools around that to increase the adoption. So as I mentioned, when we started this work stream, we first did a lot of brainstorming around what kind of payments are we talking about? Are we talking about a payee who's a small shop? We'll just put a static QR or a till code, or it's a large store which has got multiple checkout counters, or is it a chain store which has got multiple locations or virtual locations? So, and each type of this merchant would have different needs. So a small merchant just wants a payment in a bank account. Uh, if it's a large chain store, they might say that I want all the payments of this store in this bank account and all the payments of that store in another bank account. So a lot of tooling around that is generally needed, which in cards world, typically merchant management systems are built to do that. When it comes to channels, USSD is very prevalent in the markets where we are focusing. Then you have got a transition into mobile apps and web. So depending on the type of channel and the pay, it's important to consider how, when their interaction takes place, either in proximity or on online, how the merchant and customer are going to be notified. So as simple as something that, if I'm paying through a USSD till code, uh, and if the merchant standing behind the till has not just the need to get paid, but also to be get timely notified. So a combination of these things we also had to consider. Uh, and then I talked about the modes. If you're doing a payment in a proximity mode versus an online payment, the whole implications around fraud and risk management change. Um, and then the type of payments, whether it's a merchant who is giving some merchandise, there's a service or utility, and or there's a government entity which is being paid. So all of those different type of payments have different type of contextual information which they uh, is carried out with the payment transfer messages. And what's important uh, is to also consider that once a payment has been delivered, for example, if we are talking about an e-commerce scenario, then the delivery of the payment should carry that contextual information which allows the payee to reconcile that against which uh, order, or which kind of what kind of order this payment has been made to me. So all these aspects we considered while creating a design for a merchant onboarding platform and a merchant registry. So in PI 21, this work was started. All of this work was divided into epics and stories, and we prioritized our focus first on dealing with small merchants and proximity payments. So out of all those variations which I just talked about, we initially put down our focus on small merchants and proximity payments, a simple customer being able to pay using USSD. But the design of the solution itself, the tools which we are creating, we considered that they should be flexible enough to handle the other use cases and should be able to carry the information which will later be required. In the next PI, which was starting from June or July, we started the design for the user interface and UX, which I'm just going to show you. And then all the documentation around the functionality which is being developed. So one of the focus of this work stream also has been that we have been doing documentation side by side of all the work which we do, so that if new members join in this work stream, they can also contribute effectively. We did a design authority approval on the interaction between this component and the Moja loop, which is fairly standard integration between the address lookup service and a merchant registry, which acts as a oracle. And the priority features are developed, which I'm going to show you now. And in this PI, we are already working on other features which were part of our backlog, doing test case automation, CI/CD setup, and completing a release checklist, which was given by Sam to ensure that whatever is developed is production ready. So rather than expanding a lot on functionality first, we are making the thing production ready and then keep on adding features. And all of this has been done between March and now. So the high level architecture would be something like this. You can see the box in the green on top. These are the two components. One is an onboarding portal. It's optional. A DFSP who is participating in a Moja Loop scheme and onboarding merchants, they can use this onboarding portal. And if they don't want, they can directly populate or request addition of merchants in the registry. So the registry basically holds the alias to DFSP mapping, and it works both ways. That if I am a merchant, if I'm a DFSP who does not have a merchant management system, I can, and the hub operator decides to use this component, they can provide me this portal in order to register my merchants, who automatically then, once I approve them, they go into the registry and an alias is generated for them. And later on, if that merchant wants to move around, like today I'm maintaining my account with one merchant DFSP and later on I want to move around, the merchant would have the option to change their DFSP. They can initiate the request which the other DFSP will approve. So this is one of the models in which the high level setup will look like, where a customer uses the DFSP provided channels to initiate payments, typical push payments. And the other model would be the PISP model, where a non-bank entity, especially we are talking about payment service providers. So one of the team members is also working on this part, that we have a PISP enabled app which can talk, and we can demonstrate using this model as well. This portal is designed for hub operators, the DFSPs who are participating as merchant DFSPs, and the merchants themselves as well. So one of the inputs which we got from the community earlier on was that we want both models where DFSPs can onboard the merchant, and also if a merchant wants to self initiate the request. So the portal right now supports DFSP initiated merchant lifecycle of approval, and we are working on the merchant initiated onboarding as well. So I'll move on to the demo part. So this demo is just what the team has done. We spun up a Docker container. This is running right now on my laptop. So it contains the Moja Loop test harness system to simulate the transaction and to simulate that Moja Loop is directly talking to the registry component. This is the front end for the merchant acquiring portal or the onboarding portal. So if I log in into this, so you see this option, I can add records. And similarly, if I've already added records, I can see them, different type of merchants. Some of them are approved. So the ones which are approved, you can see alias. We call our alias pane to account ID, but you can call it alias just to for simple. So if I see over here, right now 3 merchants are approved, and they've got their alias. If someone gets rejected, then they appear here. If, for example, I initiate a request and that is reverted back, so with some reason, then I'll see that it's reverted. And those which are pending for approval will appear over here. So a different type of users can be defined. So all the user management, role management is part of this whole setup. It's implemented. But for authentication, we are connecting into a key cloak or OIDC, any standard OIDC provider. So, for example, if I just go on and try to approve this merchant, so if I view details over here, I can see all the information being provided. And let's say if I approve this one, number 5. So as soon as I approve the merchant, this is now removed from this list. And behind the scenes, what will happen is that this merchant will get an alias registered. So what happens is, see, just I approved this and immediately it got an alias number 4. So we are using a simple 6-digit number as an alias, but we can customize the scheme of how these aliases are registered. So behind the scenes, what's happening is that here we have got all the APIs for this acquiring portal. It's all structured, how the merchants are added, their business owner details, the location details, all of these information is in available in this API collection. And over here in this merchant registry API, so if I run a audit log API, you will see that any lookups on the registry itself, they are logged over here. So one more thing which I wanted to talk about is that while we were creating this model around adding a merchant, a lot of thought process went into this, especially because we have been talking about ISO 222 compliance. So something as simple as, for example, if I go into location information, uh, you will see that uh, we have defined location information, divided it into many subfields. And the reason is that if we go for ISO 222 compliance later, uh, it supports structured data. So tomorrow, if I am generating a request to pay message, a DFSP is generating a request to pay message, and we are talking to another scheme which is ISO 222 compliant. So the tags which a structured address would require, the same way this data model is designed. Um, so similarly, ownership information, contact person information. So all of those details are accordingly captured in here. So for example, now you see like I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4, 4 aliases. So if I go to this mobile simulator, which we have, and I try to do a transaction uh, with one, it goes over here and does an Oracle lookup. And just to check that, this is actually happening, uh, if I go over in our registry and execute this, so you'll see. So participant retrieved from the registry. So this audit logs show that, the simulator is talking to our registry. And if I try something like 5, which is not defined, this again goes to look up in the registry, but returns with an error. And over here in audit logs, you'll see that participant not found, so it's working. So uh, this is how it looks like. I mean, there are a number of other user interfaces which we are working on to develop. So for example, once the merchant is approved, they can see their own QR code uh, and the alias which is available to them. So right now, the screens which I'm showing you is DFSP admin maker or checker getting logged in. Uh, so the complete life cycle is defined in the system to approve the merchant, reject the merchant, revert back, and all of that, which is a typical requirement of a DFSP. Uh, so the plan is that to extend this portal further, and the registry will be standard Oracle. So coming back to our presentation. So all the documentation, as I said, the focus was that we keep on documenting whatever we are doing. So you can find it on GitHub. Implementation repository, it contains not just the source, but during the sprints, we have tried to do testing and automation. So all of the unit testing, all of the automation testing, all those will be also archived in this repository. So the next steps are that we are completing a release checklist. And important among them is that the packaging of the software should be properly done, and security testing is obviously also one important aspect of it, so that all the uh, Docker containers which we create for this whole piece of software, they are secure, and we are using number of tools around that, which we'll be also sharing as part of the documentation. Some functionality backlog around merchant initiated onboarding request, or merchant can change their DFSP. So those are also part of this PI. And now that we have got the base software done, there will be some design related discussions. So one is around the QR code standard that should be adopted. Uh, I mean, I understand Mojaloop is agnostic to the whatever standard of QR we use. Uh, but we'll have to see that in the markets where we are thinking going for adoption. Generally, what we have seen is that if it's a closed loop QR setting, then you have simple QR codes with just basic alias information. in the QR. But as you start doing open loop, you need a more standardized approach. Most of the countries I've seen are going towards EMVCo as a standard, but then some adopt their own URL based standards. The thing is that I mean, this part about QR will sit outside the Mojo loop, but it should capture the necessary information, and our tools should allow easy generation of QR for the merchants if we want adoption. Then bulk onboarding support, if we are going into a market where merchant payments is already prevalent and DFSPs have got merchant data already available in bulk and they want to register. So they can use the APIs, but also the user interface will be enhanced to support that. And then request to pay merchant initiated payments. That's what we are working on. So the other part which is also planned in this PI, which already we have started working on, is a demo lab setup. It's kind of a 24/7 on-prem deployment of Mojo Loop along with other DPGs, which Mifo's team was yesterday talking about. So we house that. So it's like, you know, a real environment for anyone to play around with the functionality, do transactions using customer and merchant apps. So who has done all of this work? Certainly not me. This is the team, most of them from Thista Works. Familiar faces are at the bottom, so I have not named them. One of my colleague, Taha, who was also working. But I mean, if you have to applause, then a big round of applause for these people. And after this, those of you who also want to be seen in the next PI in this slide, please come forward. We need more community members. Right now, the active members are from Thista, Paces, and Imosys also has recently joined our work stream. We usually do like two meetings a week, 1 hour for the development team and alternate Fridays, generally to update all the work stream members. So, and it's pretty consistent. And that's why things are like showing up as a result. So we need more DevOps engineers, people who can help with CI/CD tasks, QA and testing people, especially around security testing. And also those who are non-technical from the adopter side who are potentially looking at Mojo Loop. I heard multiple POCs are going on. So if you have any feedback specific to what you would like to see prioritized in these toolings, please do join the work stream and let us know. Thank you. And if there are any questions.
Thank you so much, Karim. I have to say, from a community perspective, this is a work stream that has given me so much joy with all the amazing work that they've put in. So for Karim and the work stream members, please another round of applause and appreciation. Thank you so much.